Well, hello again, YouTube. What I am doing right now is trying to figure out what is going on with my steering, because every time I turn, you get to hear a fun sound. Maybe you can hear it better from the outside. So, I've got that nice sound, whatever it may be. And first things first, what I'm going to do is check the reservoir for power steering. Because most likely that's what it is. This guy is going to be right here. So my engine's nice and warm. I'm going to check, and that looks like I definitely need to put some power steering in here. That fluid is quite low. Probably can't see it from this angle, but it's very low. Lucas, I am your father. And we get our funnel popped in there, and now we get to fill this up. Glub, glub. Thirsty. Drink. Drink, my friend. You need your power. And it's pretty low, so I put quite a bit in there. And then, after I put a bit in, I'm gonna check the fluid level and see how well it went. Oh, that alternator's hot. There it is. Now we actually have something to read on here. It's not all the way to the hot mark, but then again, it wasn't hot to begin with. It was just warmed up. So maybe add a tiny bit more, and let's check, see if that worked. Another quick fix you can try is Seafoam. It's a really, really good brand. It's pretty much the best you can get. It's going to be the hydraulic system's trans tune. You can do this in a few different places, but you can also put this in your power steering, and it'll help to stop squeaks and groans and everything. So if you do want to do a quick fix, and before you actually go in and try to change your power steering pump, that's a great cheap alternative to see if that might help you out, or maybe just quiet your system. And if you've been driving around for quite a while like I have, and either it completely stops working after a while or it doesn't get better, then you definitely need to change your pump. So first things first, to get the pump out, we got to take some bolts out. There's a few of them, but you can see a few of them down there. I'll start going over those, but once we take those out, we can finally pull this reservoir and pump out. If you want to change the reservoir, then you can, or if you want to just change the pump, you can, but I got a whole new unit, so let's get into it. So you definitely need to have one of these. It's a Pulley Puller, and what it's going to do is it's going to take off this pulley down here that's connected to the power steering. Right down here, it's going to hook onto the front of it, and it's going to slowly release it, because you don't want to be hitting that with a hammer. Unless you want to hit it with a hammer, but you have to replace the actual pulley if you do that. So how this Pulley Puller works is you've got something like this. It comes with a few different sizes, but this is the shortest one, and I need the shortest one for in there because it's a tight space. So as this turns, It's going to push that out, which is going to push the pulley off. So that's what you're going to use a wrench on. And these two pieces here, one of them has a lip in it, and that lip is going to go around the lip that's on here. Just like that. It's going to grab onto it. And you're going to have the other piece without the lip on this side, and you're going to put the other one on top of that so it can hold this in place while it holds the other one in place. And the one that I have also comes with a little sleeve so the things don't actually fall apart. So how I relieved tension before I got in there was this guy right up here. It's attached to this pulley. It rocks like this to create, pretty sure it's a spring that creates the tension in it. So what you can do is something in here to pry this up so it swings up a little bit to loosen the whole belt. And all you need is a 10mm for this, and this will pop out. And once you get that out, this pulley can actually slide out. To get it back in, like I said, you just have to pry something in there to get this into the up position to make the belt loose, pop it back on, and it'll come back down. So for me to actually get this out, I have to get the fan out of the way. So to get the fan out of the way, it's a 13mm, and there is a bolt right there at the top of the fan. And then if you follow the two legs down here, you got this leg and then you got one on the other side. It's going to be the same thing. At the very end, it's going to have a little notch in it like that with a 13mm. Okay, so now I have the fan just set down. I didn't have to move it out of the way or unplug it or anything, just out of the way to where I can actually get that pulley puller on the pulley to pull it. Pulley. And there it is. I've got it nice and snug on there. Now I can get a wrench on and actually tighten this down and pop it off. Whew, okay, just got it off. Been ratcheting and ratcheting and ratcheting, finally popped off. Now it's nice and loose, and I can take it out. And that is what it looks like once you pull everything out of there. And there's the pulley. And we're going to use a T50 bolt right down here on this bolt. T50 on that bolt. Another T50 right there. Now that last bolt down there, I'm going to keep it in. I loosened it up. All these bolts are decently easy. Just don't torque them right away. Just kind of be easy with them. You don't want to strip them out. So that last one in there is just in there to keep this in place, because that was the last one you need, because like you can see this now, it's loose. But before we take that out, there's lines that are connected to this that we have to take out. See these two lines that are connecting into it? These two need to come out, and that'll be pretty much everything except for that last bolt holding it in place. So the best way to get to the back of that is underneath the car. So all you have to do is loosen up that on there, and it is a 16mm. And that will get this hose disconnected, and now you just have this other one. This other one is really simple. It's just a hose that goes straight over the top, so pull it out. You guys will probably have some kind of clamp in there that you should take off. For some reason mine does not. Probably why mine went bad in the first place, because it looks like it was leaking from there, so I gotta put some kind of hose clamp on there when I put the new one back on. And once you take either one of those off, it's going to start leaking, so make sure you have your drip pan down there ready to catch all the fluid, unless you drained it beforehand. There it is. I just popped that out. You can see the little nut that goes on there, tightens it up. So now that that's out, I just have to take the last bolt out that was securing this in place, right over there on the bottom, that black one. Once I take that out, this whole thing will drop out. Alright, and after I took that last one out, it fell right out. When you do get your new power steering pump, there's an O-ring right on there. Make sure you get a new one. Mine came with one. It's not supposed to come with one, but mine did come with one. Make sure you get a new O-ring and put it on there, because mine's pretty shredded up. So this is what my new one looks like, and that's what my old one looks like. Exact same thing, except for this one's got a little plug that you have to take off, and also a plug, a little plastic. You can feel it, it's a little plastic thing. I don't know why they painted over it, but that needs to come off so you can have this opening. And there it is. That cap pops out, and you can see in there it's all threaded. And this one you just pull straight out, and we can get started. Alright, now the whole thing is ready to go. Put the new cap on. I'm not supposed to have this one on. It even says remove after install, and really crappy washer. Anyway, I got the new cap on, that cap off, and that cap off. Now I should be able to place it in there, and on the other side, where the holes are, I can at least thread one in so you get it set in place, and then thread the rest of them in. So all three are back on there, all three bolts. Now that that's done, this is nice and snug, it's not going anywhere, it's secured. Now we can put in both of those lines the same way we did before, one of them with the 16mm and the other one with a hose clamp. Now that both of those hoses are connected, I can put the pulley back on. And to put it back on, the inside of that is going to be threaded, so you have to find the right thread, and you're going to put the pulley on, you're going to put this through, and you're going to thread it in, and slowly you're going to push this forward, tightening it back on. So now that I have the socket and the crescent wrench on there, I can tighten up the socket while keeping this in place to screw it inwards, and then I can tighten this to push the pulley back into place. Now that the pulley's back on, I can put my fan back up in place and put those three bolts back in. Fan's back in. Now, all I have left to do is put the belt back nice and tight. Going back over here, I just have to get this arm, push it over a little bit, pop that wheel back on, and get that, what was it, 10mm, and tighten that back up. Although, if you do have a torque wrench, you might be able to use a smaller one, but a torque wrench actually works much better. There's a square right there, which the torque wrench can go into. So you can pop that in right there, and all you have to do is just give it a little bit of a turn, and it moves. You can move it all the way back up to get it loose, and all the way tight to tighten everything down. Now that everything is finished, don't forget one of the most important steps here, actually putting some power steering fluid in your reservoir, because you don't want to do this again when it fails, because it overheats and then breaks, which is, I'm thinking, what happened to mine. So go ahead and fill this up until the fill line says hot or cold, depending on what your engine is. Then go ahead and start your vehicle, turn your steering wheel all the way to the left and right a few times. Once you've done that, recheck the level and make sure you top it off to full, and go out for a drive, and then periodically check it to make sure all the air bubbles have gotten to the top, and you should be good.